myself. My name is Debbie Waite. I am a life and business coach, particularly focusing on women's empowerment. And I run a business called Stronger Inside and Out. And I want to share my journey of what I do and why I am so passionate about it. So you are going to go on a bit of a life journey with me, so please bear with me, because I want to see how many of the people in the room can relate to my story. So, born and bred in Tunbridge, went to school in Tunbridge, and started my first business when I was 12, making rings in my bedroom and selling them to all my friends at school. By 13, I was typing up teachers' CVs for a tenner a time. By 14, I had a paper round. By 15, I was working on a market stall. By 16, I could finally get a job inside, which was at New Look, again in Tunbridge, which I absolutely loved. Went to university in Plymouth and studied human resource management. And then, I've got a yay for that, brilliant. And then I travelled the world for a couple of years. I island hopped around the Canary Islands, I did a ski season in France, and then I took a tent to Australia and around the rest of the world. And I think I was just in denial about growing up, if I'm honest with you. I was, exactly, carry on doing it, carry on. And then when I got back, I started my first proper job at the Savoy Hotel in London. And I did all their recruitment for them. So I travelled to Thailand to recruit chefs, I travelled to Germany to recruit waiters, and I absolutely loved it. It was absolutely amazing. The service industry is just incredible. I moved to Claridge's, which is a sister hotel, and I moved into a learning and development role. So that role was all about training. So whether that was sales training, customer service training, communication skills, management skills, and we won so many awards in that hotel throughout my time there. And there's still a part of my heart in Claridge's Hotel, so if you haven't been there, then please do. It's an incredible place to be. But I felt like I'd reached the top of where I could get to in my industry, learning and development within the hospitality industry, because it was the best hotel in the UK. So I changed industries and I went to insurance. And I stayed within the training function and quite quickly realised that that was my passion. My passion is to get under the skin of people, so watch it, and find out what they're good at and utilise the hell out of it, right? And so what I used to do was I used to do that for organisations. So basically the organisation won because they had a shit-hot person working for them who was at their very best, and the individual won because they were developed to be their best. So it was absolutely amazing. Got married, had my first baby, and that was over 9 years ago now. And of course, motherhood is great, right? You get sore boobs and your fanny still hurts, and or you get puke and poo over you all the time, and all the rest of it. But it is the most magical part.
It's like the rain that is the best thing.
Yeah,
Thanks for what you trying to keep there.
Yeah.
Too much way.
I went back to work full time. I did it over 4 days, which meant there was a lot of drop-offs and a lot of pickups at nursery. Mum and Dad helped. Thank you, Mum. But I was determined to carry on that career that I had created over that 15 years. I was not going to let it go just because I was a mum. So I carried on working in insurance, and I carried on being a mum, and I carried on working out and staying fit, and I carried on socialising, and I carried on networking, etc., etc. And I fell pregnant again. And I had a hideous pregnancy because I was heavily anemic, I was absolutely exhausted, and I couldn't carry on working when I was pregnant because I was too poorly. And that gutted me because I was always the overachiever. I was the one that was the first there in the morning, and I was the last one there at night. Now, I'm not saying that's right at all, but that was me, and that gave me my identity. That gave me the thing that made me different and made me better and made me competitive and made me me. So when I couldn't do that, I struggled. And that really hurt. So not only did I have my second child, I was still anemic, didn't know what to do next, because really, when it came down to it, when my husband and I sat down and did the finances, the stress of going back to London commuting, at the end of the month, after 2 lots of childcare, was it really worth it? Really? And now I was on a fat salary, and I got great bonuses, and it still wasn't really worth the stress.
Not worth it.
Wasn't worth it. So I went out on my own. I became a CrossFit coach. That was a fitness thing that I loved. I started a network marketing business, but I still wasn't letting go of the things that I was doing for all those years. And so I started consulting for small to medium-sized businesses. So I was consulting on their business strategy. I was helping the owners and the executives work to the next stage of their business. I was helping the individuals within there from an executive coach perspective. I motivated, I dealt with mindset, etc., etc. And I remember in 2017 sitting in Jamie Oliver's restaurant in the High Street. Don't know if anyone remembers it there. And I sat there with my NCT group. You know, so yeah.
Can you explain what that is?
So the antenatal group,
Yeah.
those of you who don't know, the antenatal group, they're the people you meet when you're out here.
That we're just
and-
desperate to socialise.
Yeah, you talk about your pregnancy, and then when you have babies, you get really close because they're the only other person who's awake at 3 o'clock in the morning when you're scoffing biscuits and you're hurting and you're breastfeeding and all the rest of it. So we sat on the high street, and they were all laughing and joking, calling me a superwoman. Okay, just superwoman pose there. And I was so proud. I was a bloody superwoman. I was holding down 3 businesses, bringing up 2 children, renovating a house, socialising my boobs off. I was networking, I was keeping fit, I was doing everything. I was a superwoman. So why the hell didn't I feel that inside? On the outside, and within me, on the outside, I was achieving. And my whole life was about achieving. But not just achieving, overachieving. I wanted to be the best, not better than anyone else. I wanted to be the best for me. I wanted to challenge myself. I wanted to see how far I could get out of my comfort zone so that I could keep on learning. So when she called me, Georgie her name was, when she called me a superwoman, I smiled on the inside. On the inside, I don't know quite how I felt at that point. But a few weeks later, I was sitting in the doctor's surgery, and I kept on getting ill throughout this 2-year period. I was constantly ill. Chest infections, ear infections, sinusitis, every infection you could possibly think of, all the blood tests I'd had, the amount of doctors I'd seen over a 2-year period, the specialists I'd seen, because nobody could figure out why I kept on getting ill. And I sat in my doctor's surgery over in Hartfield, and this man looked at me. He said, "Mrs. Waite, there is nothing physically wrong with you." Surely that should be a good thing, right? There is nothing physically wrong with me. I left that doctor's surgery, I sat in my car, I put my head on my steering wheel, and I sobbed like a baby. I sobbed my heart out, because how can a doctor tell me there was nothing wrong with me when I felt like utter shit inside? I was lonely. I was exhausted. I was stressed out. I was lost. I was lost because I didn't know who Debbie was anymore. I didn't know who I was, because all of my life was based on external gratification. The people say, "Well done, Debs. Here's another bonus, Debs. How about a company car, Debs? What about this promotion, this award?"
Bollocks, Debs.
Yeah, exactly. My whole life was about what people was telling me. So when I didn't have any of that anymore, when I was just a mum, you don't get recognition for that. I don't mean just a mum because I'm devaluing it. I'm saying just a mum because people don't value it enough. I have my own businesses now, so nobody was going to give me that well done. No one was going to give me that bonus. So I felt broken. And I think so many people feel the same because I didn't have my own identity anymore. I didn't want to be Debs the mum. I wanted to be Debs. I wanted to be the individual, unique, incredible woman that I always was. And I was determined to bloody well be it. But where? How? What do I do from there? So I searched and I got a coach and I went to conferences and I started doing NLP and I started doing all my own coaching techniques on myself. And what I realised is that as a mother, we are juggling so many plates, but the only one we do not juggle is ourselves. Now, how can we be strong for everybody else if we are not strong for ourselves? And I can see some of you are resonating with this. I can see several nods. And what I want to say to you is you can get there. If you have been or if you are in that position where you don't know who you are anymore, you don't know what you want because you've never been asked the question. You know, what do you want? What do you want your life to look like? Who do you want to be? What do you want to be known for? All of those questions are the questions that I asked myself. And what I realised is nothing had changed. I still didn't want to be a full-time mum. I give credit to anybody who is a full-time mum. I haven't got it in me, I'm too selfish. I need something for me. And that's okay. It's okay to have something for you. It's okay to figure out what that is. It's okay to dream of where you want to be. That's a good thing. That's not something to run away from.
Which I think is so much on mums' minds. You know, it's about who they are.
Yeah.
Ask questions.
Yeah.
There's
That
probably
is
30 people who ask a question. That's why Debbie's here.
Yeah. Yeah.
There must be someone.
They will. And one of the biggest things is we all have our strengths, right? We all have our strengths and we all have our weaknesses. Now, you know what? I say bollocks to the weaknesses.
I've been a nanny 20
let's
years of
celebrate.
my life.
Yeah.
I've worked for the most richest, powerful people in the world, and I think, do you know what?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't
You know,
matter.
all of that outside stuff
You
doesn't
parent the
matter.
way you want to parent.
What you want to do, you need to figure out who you are. You need to give yourself that space. Because you can be an awesome woman as a business owner, as a career woman. Absolutely, you can be incredible as a mum. You can have an incredible life. You can be fit and healthy and have a loving relationship. You can have all of those things, absolutely, but not in the way you used to.
No.
There is no point measuring yourself today on the person you were yesterday, because you're not that person anymore. Sorry to break it to you. I think most of you are mums in this room. You're not that person anymore.
No.
That person has gone. That life has gone. So start looking at now, start looking at the future, start figuring out what you want, and start making it happen. And that's why I now focus on coaching women who are going through the same thing. Women who don't feel as they thought they would at this stage of their life. I thought I'd be happier. I thought I'd be richer. I thought I'd be more satisfied. I thought I would be in a different place. But you're probably measuring yourself on old standards, on old measures. I cannot work 10, 12-hour days. So why was I ever measuring myself against a woman who could before marriage and children? That's nuts. I was a superwoman. I was a crazy woman. I mean, what is that about? I was setting myself up to fail. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I see it all the time. And of course, because nobody ever says, so this chapter of your life, how's that going to look then? we just bowl on into it. We just bowl on in and we try and do everything we did and we just add it on and we add it on and we add it on. And we don't ever take anything away. So my challenge to you when you leave tonight is to have a really big think about, who are you? What do you want to be known for? What are your strengths? You've got them. You have got mega strengths, all of you. Okay? And how can you utilise them? Because that's what's going to give you. You can ask questions now. I've got some other bits. If anyone's got any questions now, then go for it. Absolutely.
I'll have one.
Go on.
How do you stay so positive? Being a mum, I know what you do, you work hard. You know, you're so positive.
It's mindset.
And it's hard.
Yeah. So
energy. We can
right.
read books. But you stay there, you challenge it.
Yeah. My trick are these buckets. So some of you at the back might not be able to see these buckets. I have 4 buckets here, and this is my biggest tip to you is you have to fill up each of these buckets every single day. I'll tell you what each of them are, shall I? Anyone want to know what they are?
I do.
So, each of these buckets, you've got a brain bucket. Okay? This is about feeding your brain. I'll go into more details in a minute. But this is about how you speak to yourself. This is about how you nourish it, how you train it, how you use it, how you grow it. You know, if you want big biceps, you have to use them. What are you doing that with your brain? You know, I always say to people, don't speak to yourself unless you are prepared to say the same thing to your granny. Yeah. Think about that. Think about that. Oh, you fat bitch. Oh, you stupid cow. Oh, that was. What did you do that for?
Oh, you hairy old binge.
You know, all the things you say to yourself in here.
So you're mean.
Okay, you cannot say. You need to look after yourself. You need to speak to yourself in a way that is respectful and with love. I bet you don't all do that.
I do.
Okay, next bucket. Next bucket is body. Okay, this might just be the vessel that is bringing us in this lifetime. But hey, we've only got one of them. And who can relate to the fact that when you look back on pictures of you 10, 15, 20 years ago, you go, wow, look at that body, right? 10, 15 years ago, I bet you went, I'm a fat bitch, I'm a fat bitch. And you would wish now to have that body you had 15, 20 years ago. So how do you think you're going to feel in another 10, 15 years? You're going to look back at how you look today and go, we're looking good. So you've got a decision to make about loving that right now and looking after it. Okay, next one is heart. Who has fun every day? Anyone? We've got a heart. Woo! I love that. I love that. Yeah, absolutely. Life is so too short. Yes, yes, yes. What's your name? Jane, you're amazing. Love that. 2 right 2. So everyone needs to take.
Most days I do.
Yes. Life's too short, right?
Tiny things.
Yes, life is too short. I know that more than most. I wasn't going to share. I was at a funeral today. It's heartbreaking in many ways, but in other ways it was the most humbling funeral I've ever been to, because he was the happiest, most content, most loving man I will probably ever meet, except for my dad. Okay, and so actually, I'm not sad. I'm celebrating his life because he celebrated it every single day. So if you can't say the same, I'm saying to you right now, life's too effing short. So if you aren't like Jane, so I don't know your name, Emma, then start figuring out what lights you up, what makes your heart sing, and make sure you do it every day. Doesn't have to be the big stuff. Could just be putting on a song, dancing around the kitchen. Doesn't matter what it is, but figure out what makes you smile. Do it more. Okay? 4th bucket Connection. This is a trickier one. Some of connection is about relationships and who you hang out with. 2 examples. Any Harry Potter fans in here? Yeah, yeah! Right, so there are 2 groups of friends you hang out with. You've got the Dementors, who suck the living daylights out of you, who when you walk away from them, you are absolutely exhausted because you're full of negativity and they've just been moaning and you just want to go to bed. Or, any children used to be Frozen fans? Okay. Or the other group of friends, Olafs. Who can look at Olaf without smiling? But you can't. So you'll have the groups of friends that light you up.
The radiators and drains.
Yes, no, you're brilliant. Radiators and drains, another example. You know, you will have people in your life who are Dementors, and you will have people in your life who are Olafs. So what do you think they're going to say about that?
Stick with the Olafs.
Stick with your Olafs, baby! Minimise the Dementors and stick with your Olafs. And also check in with yourself. Which one do you think people think you are? Ooh! Yeah, you're definitely an Olaf. You're definitely an Olaf. So I've got pieces of paper in each of these buckets, and I'm going to give. Well, there's loads of them, so we'll be here till midnight if I pull them all out. So I'm going to give you opportunities to pull them out for me, and I'll just give you some hints of each bit. But I think one of the biggest things is the fact that you cannot work on just 1 or 2 of these. So, if you're always working on your brain, right, you're learning new things, you're making decisions, you're reading lots, you're learning lots, you're just using your brain in this place, you're being decisive and you're thinking a lot, that's great to a certain extent. If that's all you do, you have 3 empty buckets here. You're going to be knackered. Your energy is going to be sucked out of you. Okay, you need the balance of the 4, otherwise it doesn't work. If you're always in the gym working on your body, you know, pumping the iron, running on the running machine, going for bike rides or whatever, but that's all you're doing, you're going to be knackered. Believe it or not, because you've got 3 empty other buckets. Even if you're doing lots of learning, and you're doing lots of decisions and you're really thinking, and you're going to the gym and you're bike riding and you're dancing, you're going to be knackered. Because you've got 2 empty buckets. So, what happens if you're loving? You're giving love, you're getting love, you're spending loads of time with loads of Olafs, and so much love in the world, it's just amazing.
You only had 1 drink.
You're gonna be knackered. You're gonna be knackered because there's 3 empty buckets. And what if you're in the space, you're connecting, you're meditating every day, you're connecting to the universe, God, Spirit, whoever it is you believe in, you're connecting with the right type of people, you know your purpose, you're in it, yeah, baby. But that's all you're doing. You're gonna be knackered! You got 3 empty buckets! So, what am I telling you here? Boundaries. You've got to have your boundaries. You've got to know your buckets. You've got to know how you fill up each bucket. And you've got to do each of them every single day.
Balance.
You've got to balance it out. Think of them as spokes of a wheel. 3 of them were long and 1 of them was short. It ain't going to be going round, is it? It's going to get stuck. Ka-dum, ka-dum, ka-dum. It's going to be a bumpy journey. Yeah, whereas if it's got 4 spokes the same size, it doesn't matter how big or how small each of those 4 spikes are, it's going to go round. It's going to be a really nice journey. Yeah? So you need to be filling up each bucket. So let's have a look at this then. So, a brain bucket. Here, Mum, you do the first one. There we go. There. you take the honours? Take the first.
How many have we got?
That's it, just the
Want to
one.
read it out?
Yes, please. You got your glasses.
Negative versus positive mindset.
Yes, brilliant. Thank
I
you
did
very
that
much.
without glasses.
Yeah, nice. Well done. Well done. All this positivity's coming through. So, negative versus positive mindset. So this links to what Marie asked me just now. How have I always got a positive mindset? You know why? It's a bloody choice.
Yeah, good.
Ah, yeah, she's still there. She's still with us. Right? It's a choice. I choose it. Of course, loads of crappy things happen. You know, to me, just like you. I can't stop the crappy things happening. But what I can stop, and what I can control, and what I can do, is how I react to those crappy things. I can choose to go into bitch mode, mode, beat myself up mode, beat everyone else up mode, or I can go into the, oh, that just happened. Do I want to waste energy worrying about that, or shall I just step on through? I choose the latter. It's going to give me energy rather than taking it away. Okay? Body. Let's get a body one out. Some of these might be a bit risky. Excited about that.
Alcohol is the devil. Do the 90-day test.
Oh!
Very apt for me.
Says yes. So you're not drinking alcohol, are you?
No. I did my 90 days from October and haven't gone back.
Oh, love that.
Yeah.
Love that. You were the right. That message
I
was
know.
for you. Thank you, university. You chose the right message for the right person. So this is about what we put in our bodies. Right? This is our vessel. So I can stand here and moan that this skirt is a bit tight on me these days, and I've got a bit of a belly and I've got a bit of an overhang. Yeah, I can moan about all that. Or I can go, do you know what? I like cake and I like wine. Okay? That's as simple as it goes. But in all seriousness, alcohol is the devil. Alcohol does not give us any nutritional value whatsoever. Except for maybe a little bit of red wine.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit. But again, I know that when I drink alcohol, I feel crap for 2 days. Any else? It used to be a day. Now it's edging on 3, to be fair. The older I get, the longer the hangover lasts. If everyone else gets like that as well. Okay? So I choose that. And this is about choosing. This is about realising that you have the power to choose. So am I choosing feeling crappy for the next couple of days? Or am I choosing to drink sparkling water all night? That's my choice. I can choose that. I can't moan about the consequences if that's my choice. Okay? My body works better when I don't drink alcohol, full stop. I eat better for the next few days when I don't have alcohol. I'm less of a bitch to my poor husband when I haven't had alcohol. Right? So, you get my point. We all choose it, or we don't. Okay, heart.
You're a bitch to your husband.
If you don't drink it, you bitch to your husband. Oh, choose me one of those. No, we're just telling how it is. Done.
That's it. It's just wrong.
What's this one saying?
It says, get excited about your future.
Ooh! Who is excited about their future? Yes! Loads of people! Yay! This is why we're such a brilliant group full of brilliant people. That is amazing. So you should be. So if you are, celebrate that. Please celebrate that. Please realise that that is brilliant. If you're not, that's cool as well. We can work with that. Because you need to be excited about your future, but you also need to be excited about today. Give me a question.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I struggle to then find the present and be happy in that instead of going, oh, I've got this I can do tomorrow, or this is coming up. It's finding that, how do you find that right now? Make this last and make this moment.
Oh, I love that. Oh, you're a very special lady, you are. You are very, very special. So I always say, I do quite a lot of visioning work with my clients and do quite a lot of, well, what is it you want? Because unless you... Yes, brilliant, yeah, vision boards, exactly like this. having a vision board which allows you to dream. Who, when they were kids, used to get the Argos catalogue, all that? What was the other catalogue at Christmas time? Toys R Us catalogue! Yes! What other catalogues were there? There was another one.
Freeman's.
Freeman's, have you seen any? Yes, Kay's, all of those. And who used to do big presents? I want that for Christmas, I want that for Christmas. Right? That is visioning. That is, I'm going to figure out what it is I want. I'm going to put it out there and hopefully Father Christmas will get it for me.
Can I just say something about visioning? Because you think it's like about the future, but actually the process of creating the vision board, you're actually in the present as well.
And what
You're being creative in the present, even though you're looking at the future.
and it's
Look at the
feeding the present.
Yes, manifest.
It is
Yeah.
feeding the present.
I think you can
Just
find good in something every day.
yeah, without a doubt. And I think that by getting excited about the future and having a vision board and pushing yourself and allowing yourself to dream, all the energy is coming into
Some
the
things have
right
come
thing.
true in my vision board. I mean, it's a bit basic, but
I
it
wouldn't
has
have
got
got
4
four
sections for all areas of my life, you know.
Yeah, brilliant.
Family, my business, etc. So it does work. And I have it up on my look at it.
So what's
It's really
happening?
nice, the visual.
So you say that's basic, I think that's amazing.
Oh,
So don't normalise that, that's brilliant. And the fact that you're getting all of that as
that's
well.
me, that's me in the visual, like,
Love it.
jumping.
So who when they go into a restaurant, sits down, goes into their favourite restaurant, wherever that is, sits down, and the waiter comes over and gives them some food? Have I missed a step?
Yeah.
We normally order, right? We normally look at the menu and we order, right? The waiter can't bring your favourite dish unless you order it. So how is life going to bring you what you want unless you order it? That's as simple as it gets. And I'm being brutally serious with you. Okay? But coming back to your brilliant question, is I always say to people, go through that process. Go through that dreaming, exciting, visioning, go back to being a kid and, do exactly this. Cut things out, paste them on.
That would be like travelling, when I was younger as well. So there's things from the past. Like who I used to be, I'm not wanting to be the same person. But,
Have you updated it?
no, I haven't, but I might. But on my meditation course that I do, we go through visioning. This is for myself, this is a course that I went on. It was just for my self-development,
Yeah.
which I do but first.
And how excited are you when you look at that?
Yeah, really excited.
So it
Got my updated
brings that energy to the present, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
And what I say to people is that if you have 2 eyes on the future, well, what eyes have you got left today? So allow yourself time to dream, allow yourself time to go on a vision and really create that, and then it's done. All of the energy of that is in your unconscious mind, and it is within you then, and then you can have two eyes on the today, and you can enjoy the journey of getting there. Because once you've done that piece of work, it's done, it will already stay in you. So that you can, because you're absolutely right, you don't want to always be thinking of tomorrow. You want to be able to bring that energy to the today so you can enjoy today, because who knows what's coming. Thank you.
So gratitude, when you see things that you're grateful for every day, that helps.
Yeah, that's in one of those
I think
actually.
it could be
yeah.
even like a nice cup of tea or the
Yes.
sun's out,
Yeah, and just be
Or warm
grateful,
beds.
recognise it and
Yeah.
be grateful for it, yeah.
It is so true.
Definitely.
We've always had a vision board, but
Yeah.
I've always updated it as well. So 2017 is when I dreamt of owning my own business. It's very emotional when I talk about this.
Amazing business, the diamond set.
And I dreamt of a jewellery business, and I'm doing it now.
Yes!
Local
Give her a
business.
clap! See, this is what it does! This is what it does!
That's right. But I've gone through that phase where you said earlier,
Yeah.
I was stuck on myself because I went through where I'm seeking people telling me, oh, you've done a good job. But I became a mum. It was then different, and no one's telling me that anymore. My husband tried, but I never believed him.
Because it's got to come from you, right?
But also, we're very hard on ourselves. But yeah, it is true. It's the mindset. But it never stops. You always play around it as well, because your challenges changes from planet.
Yeah, absolutely. And recognising that is such a gift.
Yeah.
you know, and well done you, I'd say.
Oh,
Because I
thank
just
you.
think, thank you.
It's an amazing business based in Sullivan, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah, and because you had a dream. So somebody said that, didn't they? I have a dream.
Use male, forget it.
Yeah. But it is, it's giving yourself that opportunity to figure out what you want and who you are. And that is the biggest thing. And to get through all of this is about balancing out your energy buckets. Now I could stand all night, we could go through some more buckets, or you can chuck me some questions. I don't know which one we go. Do you want buckets or questions?
So you, at the moment you coach women and you're very that's what you do. So all these challenges, we sort of touched on it before we spoke. And it's a bit of a leading question really, but women, if they decide to have a family, maybe a generalisation, have to go through huge life changes. Whereas we were saying with men, their life maybe, it does change. Having children or getting married obviously changes the dynamic of anyone's being, marriage, partnership, whatever. But it does still seem, as much as we've progressed as women, that men's life still seems quite defined, and we're still taking on more and more and more.
Yeah.
There's the classic of
big time.
busy if you want a job done, give it to a busy woman. And we don't tend to drop anything. Whereas I do think that is quite a female thing, is not to say no.
Yeah, and I think
not
we
to
heard
let
it
things
earlier,
go.
didn't we? Yeah, that whole saying no thing is what I find with the majority of my clients. So I do one-to-one coaching, I run workshops, and I run a 7-week transformational program which goes through all of this in detail with a very small group of women who go on the journey together. And what I find exactly that is that actually the woman's role hasn't changed as much as it's made out it has. What's happened is they've just got a load of a man role in there as well. So what has happened is the man's role hasn't changed as much as it could, and the woman's role hasn't. But the woman just adds on and adds on and adds on. But that's not me saying the men have made that hard for us. Actually, I think a lot of the time we make it hard for ourselves because we become independent addicted. And, you know, and when I look back in my past, I know there are certainly times where I've gone, I'm going to do it because I can. I'm going to do it because I'm an independent and unique and incredible woman. Do not help me. And now I'm like, oh my God, can someone help me? Because we can't do it all, but we can only get help if we allow people to help us. And we can only allow people to help us if we ask for it.
I was a big sucker for that.
For not asking for help.
Yeah, I'm aware of that,
Yeah.
because I don't like asking for help.
Yeah.
But that stems from child trauma when you're growing up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I went through that. I realise that now.
Yeah, and
I say, it's okay to ask for help. It's absolutely fine. You know, I talk to myself in my head.
Yeah.
And,
But it's still hard, even though you recognise it, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's not going to be
it's
easy.
very hard. It's very hard.
And so what happens is, I know with my husband, when he is at his best when I'm not around or when I'm poorly and can't do stuff. Because then he can step up, he gets the opportunity to step up and be the person he wants to be because he's allowed to, because I let him do stuff. Whereas normally I'm so busy being an independent woman, I'm doing it all, that he hasn't got the opportunity to support me, which actually makes him feel really good.
And not showing, I get told off for that, not showing my vulnerability. I love being independent.
Yeah.
And then my husband loves it, and I like that.
Yeah.
I was more like that when I met him, but not so much like that now. But he likes it, just like what you were saying.
And vulnerability is a strength. You know, I've gone on a real journey with that the whole vulnerable, you know, and I genuinely don't feel vulnerable very much. And so, because I don't very often, when I do, it's a bit like, well, I'll go for that.
Yeah.
You know, I brush it under the carpet a little bit. And because I never used to be connected to that. And you know what? On Instagram, for example, I get the most amount of comments, usually privately, when I have had a really crap day and I've shared it. Of going, actually, 90% of the time, maybe even 95, I am a happy-go-lucky, genuinely got my mindset sussed, got my body sussed, got my heart sussed, and got my connections and my spirit sussed. and therefore I'm a pretty balanced, happy, energetic person. And those of you in here who see me on the school run most days, then, or used to, then I'm sure that you can vouch for me for that. But every now and again, when I have a bad day, I normally deal with that in private because I just need to work it through.
Don't you think that part of the problem in society these days, so you were touching on the just mum, I have been just a full-time mum until very recently, and I do talk to other people, and I'm like, I'm just a mum, I mean, I have really very little kids, you know, and I'm busy as can be, but I almost feel like as a woman, you have to do more. You have to work full-time job, have 3 kids ideally, because 2's too little, 4's too many, you know. You have to cook amazing meals, and you have to be sociable, and you have to do all of these things, because otherwise, you cannot do all day if you're just a mum, you know. I feel like society.
You know, you've got to watch other women sometimes because it's other women that are put sometimes.
Yeah,
And I'm not saying it's people around this room, but some of my worst critics have been mother-in-law, sisters, until they themselves have 3 little kids. Because I've got 3 children of my own, and similar like Anna, is quite a wide age group. My eldest has just graduated, 22. So, you know, it lasts quite a long time, but other women can bring you down. You've got to be just absolutely careful that, I mean, it happens in the workplace often. I've had a long career in the city and in other places. It's horrible to say that, but yeah, sometimes the men are the straightforward ones, and it's the other women that want to drag you down. You have to really keep your own counsel sometimes, because you have to stay strong regardless. And sometimes it's absolutely okay to step down, take a break, and give yourself a break. It's taken me actually 20 years to have that time and that space. I'm just only getting it now. Wise word.
Yeah.
I'm just coming to it now. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I've done a whole career and all my children growing up to understand that you have to remind yourself that you're good and you're okay and you're working hard. Keep that in mind and never apologise, because you know what your battles are. Sometimes for me it was just to get to the end of the day without breaking down, and other people just see that superwoman. I was running 3 businesses, superwoman. But for what purpose?
Yeah.
So for me to be 20 years later on my knees in pieces, it's no good. Keep yourself strong. Absolutely preserve what, you know, good people around you that can build you up. You don't want hidden people pretending they're building you up, but they're not. They're dragging you down.
Do you know the only person?
So
you know, I am going to come to you, don't worry. The only person that can really drag you down, the only person who has the ability to do that is you. Okay, I want to make that really clear. We control our minds, we control our hearts, we control our bodies, and we control our spirits. So bollocks to everybody else. So what if somebody else thinks whatever they think about you? So what? What a waste of energy, trying to please somebody else, whoever that somebody else is. Whether that's society, whether that's educational systems, whether that's parents, whether that's families, whether that's kids. So what? Because the minute you find your truth and the minute you step into it wholeheartedly is the minute you don't give a shit what anyone else thinks. And that is when things really happen.
I think, Debbie, it's got to be difficult. Young children will drag you down.
Yeah, if you let them. Yeah, definitely.
And that's got to be really hard.
Yeah.
You're trying to get them out the door to school of a morning, and then your 7-year-old refuses the socks, the shoes.
This is real life in my house.
It's the smallest things that we tip to balance.
That drags you down.
Yeah.
Isn't it, as a mother.
Hell yeah, drags
And then
down.
you've got to go and run a business.
Yeah. So you need to make sure that your energy buckets are as full as possible. So when those things, like my youngest won't get his socks on every single morning, or his pants or his shoes, means that I am as full as I can be, so I am in the best place I can be when things like that do happen. Because if I've been speaking to myself nicely, if I've been out on the booze all night and feel hideous, if I haven't done anything fun, and if I haven't connected with myself and who I actually am for ages, then when he kicks off about his socks, I'm going to be in such a bad place anyway, and then all hell's going to break loose. And nasty mummy's going to come out, monster mummy. I had a question at the back, sorry.
People that work 12-hour days, 15-hour days, when they were 21 and they're still doing it. So what's your kind of advice in terms of keeping it to a session or an 8-hour day? It's really hard. Obviously you do, some people have families, some people don't, but just in terms of good working practice, how do you encourage people to stick to a certain amount of hours in any one day? Is that possible?
Great question. Great. Did everyone hear the question? Yeah, about the boundaries around working hours. And that is going to be different for every single person in this room. But it boils down to what you want. Yeah. Now, I could have a multi-million-pound business, and I truly believe that. If I really wanted that, that is going to come overnight, and it's not going to come on working 4 to 5 hours a day, 5 days a week. That's my choice. Okay, I have made that choice. I have made the choice that I will be at every sports day. I will be at majority of pickups. I will be at every school play. That is my choice, and I have to sacrifice things to do that. You know, I won't be going on a fabulous holiday still for the next couple of years because I am not prepared to do 10, 11, 12, or even 8 hours every day because I haven't got them. I've got my full-time job as a mum. I can't have another full-time job. So that's me being realistic. It doesn't matter how successful I want my business to do, how many women I want on my programs, how many people I want a one-to-one coach. I only have 4 to 5 hours in my working day because my kids go to school and I do drop-offs and pickups. And therefore, I have to be prepared to live in the same house I'm in, potentially for the next 10, 15 years. I have to be prepared to not go on the fancy holidays that I used to go on. I have to be prepared for all those things and make a choice. You know, I might not go out to dinner as often, but that's my choice.
How about group coaching, online coaching?
Mm.
Just maximise your time.
Yeah, absolutely.
As a therapist,
Yeah.
But the
there's
problem
only so many
there-
hours in the day, isn't there?
Yeah, the problem is that when you've got a profession,
Yeah.
so I'm a qualified accountant.
Yeah.
I was working in the city for 12 years.
Yeah.
You know, their American investment banks are tough places to be.
Yeah.
I was the only woman
Yeah.
for many years in my team.
Yeah.
And it's quite a lonely place. You know, I'm a bit more now, but back in the day, you know, I was slim, I was out there, I was drinking with the boys, I was first one in, last one out, and you know, it is impossible to keep up. You know, you're right, it is a choice, but when you're in it and you've invested so many years to qualify as a lawyer or an accountant, it takes a lot of effort.
I get it.
It's something that just comes overnight. It's hours and hours of
Yeah.
studying and time. You know, there may be other professionals in school that have done those hours, but it literally takes, you know, many years to get to that position. And at the point where you're starting to have it pay off financially, it's probably about the time you're starting to have your children.
Yeah, absolutely.
29 when I had my first child, and I was just at the point where I'm starting to earn decent money and all the hours have paid off.
Yeah.
And then almost as soon as I had my first child was where I stopped getting the promotions. I still got the layers of work added on, funnily enough.
Because you could
And
do
I had
it
to try
when you're a
and prove
reliable pair of
myself.
hands, yeah.
I can
But
still do it.
but as brutal as it sounds, it's your choice. As it was mine.
You're
As it
absolutely
was
right.
mine.
You're absolutely right. And now, 25 years later, looking back, I think, why did I put up with it? but there was fear as well. What's next? It's an extremely scary place to be.
Because you've worked your absolute boots off for the last 25 years
Resistance.
to get there. And you've gone through blood, sweat and tears to get there, and you don't want to let it go.
And there aren't that many people women in investment banking, certainly not back in the early 90s.
But it's still a choice.
I think
And
you have
as-
to choose your hard, that's what I
Yeah, that's a great phrase. Choose your hard, if you didn't hear that. You choose your hard. But when you realise that everything you do is your choice, you suddenly become really powerful, and you suddenly get inner strength that you never realised you had, because you suddenly realise that you are choosing everything that's going on around you. Now, some of that might feel really hard, but it's a choice. You know, my kids get a choice if they're going to have to do that by eating their dinner. I have a choice whether I'm going to work in the evenings and early mornings as well as in the daytimes to be able to do something, buy something, you know, have organic food or non-organic food. You know, it's still a choice, and I think a majority of people in this room are in the position to make those choices.
Can I just say that I think sometimes I agree with you. I do think that it is our choice, but I think some of these choices that we make are unconscious.
Yes.
They're subconscious.
Yes.
So actually we just seem to go with the flow. This is what we do, and things become routine, and actually we don't take that step back to reflect and look at where we're at very often. And perhaps that's what we need to be doing, and that's where the vision boards come in, and you know.
And it's such a wonderful point, so thank you. It is 100% about that. We get in the rat race and we just keep going, and we don't stop. And that is why a majority of women end up changing careers. People say it's because of the working hours and the flexibility and all that kind of stuff. Most of it men would love to do, to change career, but they don't have the headspace through pregnancy and early childhood that they've had off work, so they don't get that luxury. We might not see it as a luxury. They see it as a luxury because we've had the opportunity to assess our lives and assess ourselves and change direction. They never get that. So, for example, on my 7-week transformational programme, I might give a few tools. I might, you know, I always say to people, I reckon all of us could have a drink together and we'd have a wicked night. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to kick some ass. Right? I'm a coach. I'm not your best mate. You know, I'll give you the hugs and I will be your best cheerleader. But essentially, I will give you the hard message you need to hear, because that's my job. I will hold the mirror up and let you see who you are in the good, the bad, and the ugly. Okay? So when it comes to I don't teach my clients anything they don't already know. I don't get them to do things that they couldn't do themselves. But they won't do it for themselves. But they'll damn well do it for me.
So when you do your coaching, I studied coaching, life coaching, and mindful course, and NLP in lockdown.
Yeah.
I just thought I'm not going to sit around not do nothing.
Good for you.
But I found that people might want a coach, or they want to change something in their life, but they're too scared when they approach. Have you had that? Because ultimately they've got a really big fear
Yeah.
themselves, and sometimes that fear kicks in that they don't want to. So what do you do if you have a client like that?
If I'm honest, people come to me because they want change, because I'm that kind of coach. I am Marmite, you know. Everyone in this room is going to love me or hate me. I don't give a shit which one, but you're going to love me or hate me. Right? I'm not going to change. I am me.
I love it.
Thank you. And so
straightforward and
and so
perfect.
if people come to me, they know what they're going to get. There is no hidden agenda. They'll tell you as it is. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to share with you my experiences. I'm going to give you 25 years of experience of coaching and life experience. And so if somebody was worried about coaching, or somebody was fearful about getting help, then I would probably say they possibly wouldn't come to me in the first place. What I do get is I haven't got time to come to you, which is the perfect time to come to me. Well, let's create that time by coming to me in the first place, and let's give you your life back and give you your hours back. But I get what you're saying, and that's often when people need one-to-one coaching rather than group coaching. Group coaching is amazing for women because actually from our ancestors, we were born to be in a tribe. We were born to have that sense of belonging. And so actually having group training programs and group coaching programs for women means they bond. I have people who have become best friends on my program. They come out, they still support each other, they still meet each other, they still keep each other accountable. But it might be that if people are a bit more fearful, they don't want to share, that they might have one-to-one. But usually I find if one-to-one person starts sharing, everyone's like, oh my God, you go through that now? Oh, I felt like that. Or 1 week somebody's going through it and then it swaps.
Sort of like relate, don't you?
Yeah, everyone relates to each other. We've all got the same shit going on, really.
We just put a smile on our face and carry on.
Yeah, exactly. Right, ladies, I think it's time for me to check out because I think that if any of you've got any more questions, I'm going to be hanging around. But what I do want to do is just say thank you because you've all been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for asking questions. Thank you for participating.
Thank you.
And thank you for just being here and being you. So thank you and well done.